Oh, Uncle Sam's got something for you. Okay. Oh, you want the free speech now? We need to curtail that. Oh, you want guns now? That we need sensible gun laws that are.
No, Mark Warren, motherfucker! Who are you?
I'm Uncle Sam.
Who the fuck is Uncle Sam?
I'm the Commonwealth.
What the fuck is the Commonwealth?
Everybody.
Everybody? Well, obviously it's not everybody, because here I am, asshole.
I've got a whole legion of voters.
Oh, a legion of voters. Oh, what did they do when they were voting? Did they register, Uncle Sam?
Of course they voted.
Doesn't the judicial system describe in legalese the process of registration, regardless of what level it is to give up ownership?
Yes.
Oh. So the voters gave up their ownership of themselves and decided that you were in power, thereby giving up their ownership to you. So you say that you...
That's my point.
That's perfect, because I didn't
I have everybody's vote by proxy.
That's excellent, because here I am today. Guess what I didn't do, Uncle Sam?
What didn't you do?
I didn't register to vote. So here we are, man to man, one equal creature to another, and I'm telling you that I have not given up my right to allow you to rule me, asshat. What do you say to that?
What I say to that is, I've got a standing army.
A standing army? No, you don't, because that's illegal in terms of the Constitution of the United States of America to have a standing army 24 months post-peacetime.
I've got it.
Oh, you have it. So the American people have let this happen.
That's right.
They're registered voters, correct?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so here we are back to square one. I didn't vote, and it's just you and me. What do you say to that, Uncle Sam?
I still got him behind me.
That's fine, because you know what I have behind me? As a 3%er that kicked your fucking British ass 240 some odd years ago in the Revolutionary War of 1776, when statistically reported only 3% of the American population voted and destroyed you in every single battle. Guess what I've got behind me, Uncle Sam? I've got 150 million armed Americans that say they're not taking your shit anymore. What do you say to that?
I've got a bought and paid for mainstream media that will just spin your rhetoric into conspiracy theorist, homegrown conspiracy bullshit.
Okay, well let me ask you
and
this,
my people will buy it.
Who the fuck do you think you are to have authority over me? Creature of equal, I'll say it again, creature of equal nature. Who the fuck are you to have authority over me? Oh, nothing to say. You want to tell me you want to tell me under what circumstances I can possess a means to defend myself. Is that right?
That is correct.
And you want to tell me that when I sit in my house and I watch my little daughters, one who is only a year of age and just learning how to walk, another that is only 5 years old and just learning how to read, you want me to believe that I don't have the human right to defend my family?
That's right, because I want you defenseless. When I come into your home, you need to cower before me so I can steal your children and steal their minds and steal your mind.
And you want to tell me that there's a circumstance and a case law and a statutory law based on when and where and how I can defend my family, and you think that I'm going to stand for that?
Yes, I do.
It ain't going to fucking happen. I'm standing here right now and I'm telling you that I'm armed. I've had enough. And that I am in charge of my personal safety, and that I am in charge of the safety of my family, and that I am in charge of the safety of those around me who are incapable of defending themselves against the verminous likes of you! to say now, Uncle Sam, because I got 150 million Americans behind me, and they're armed and ready to die! And I'm one of them!
You got me in a corner.
I got you in that corner. I'm going to beat you not into submission, but into death. Because I am not my hand. I am not my hat. I am not my shoe. And I am not my leg. I'm not even the conscious mind that accepts the fact that I exist. I am energy. I am a soul. I am a creation of my creator. And I am telling you this right now. That Albert Einstein was right when he said that energy is not destroyed or created. That it is only transferred. You can take this body from me. It's only destined for a measly 90 years on this planet. But my soul is going to live on. So you can take my life. You can take my body. But you're not going to take my soul. You're not going to take my freedom. But I will lose this body in defense of that freedom because of what my soul knows to be true. What do you say to that, Uncle Sam?
Well played.
Uncle Sam is nobody. Uncle Sam doesn't get the right to tell us when we can defend ourselves against him or any other enemy. Enemies, foreign and domestic, means anything outside of this body.
Right. Foreign and domestic.
And I will defend it. At all costs.
And that's your right.
It is my right as a human being, not as an American citizen.
And that doesn't go against natural rights and the non-aggression principle.
No, it doesn't, because if you come to perpetrate violence against me, I am going to answer that call. And I will spend as much time on that line as my unlimited data allows me to.
We will not be silenced. We will not be told what to do.
I will not be ruled.
We will not be ruled.
William Wallace will not be ruled. Peace treaties, laws, government constructs, and mandates, they say that peace is made in such ways. William Wallace said that slaves are made in such ways. I don't care if I have to die. I don't care if I have to lose my life. This is a temporary life. I have an eternal life waiting for me. And even if that turns out to be wrong to all the atheists and the agnostics and the skeptics out there, you know what? Ultimately, it doesn't matter anyways. Because when I'm gone from this life and my energy has been removed from this body, even if there was oblivion on the other side of that curtain, I'm not going to know about it anyways. So I don't care. What I do care about, if this five-sensory world is all that there is, the only thing that I care about is sticking to what is right and true while I'm here. That's the only thing that should matter to anybody, is what you do with the time that you're here. Even if there is nothing beyond.
Truth and morals.
Thanks, Uncle Sam. I appreciate your fucking time. I appreciate your effort at censoring and deceiving and limiting and disarming. But I'm going to tell you like this. In this archdiocese, the state don't run the bingo. I do. And so does he. And so do another 150 million Americans or more.
And I'm a winner every time.
A winner every time. You fucking remember that. Cut the video. Fuck this asshole. No big deal. So, how we doing tonight?
Perfect. Well, not so perfect as the devil's advocate here. The Uncle Sam. I got my ass handed to me. Rightfully.
You don't say. And rightfully at that.
Yeah, so what you just saw was a little bit of a skit that we did to illustrate a little bit of what we're talking about here in a dramatic fashion, if the common man or the unencumbered man was to face this demon head on. Now, albeit I probably did not do such a great a job at.
If there's any
being
politicians out there,
it's against my nature. I can't be that terrible person. So, but I did the best I can.
You know what? There's always the possibility that a politician could watch this show. There is always the possibility that somebody from a local police force or a county or state police force could potentially watch our show. And you know what? If you belong to any of these agencies, I'll tell you what, go ahead and private message or leave your desired contact information in the comments box. If you don't want to do that specifically, go ahead and say, hey, I'm a sheriff with this county and here's my contact number. I'm a police officer with this number. You know, I am a state senator. I am a state governor. You know, if you want to leave that kind of information, and then we can message each other back and forth on a more private venue, and you want to appear on this show, fucking go ahead, asshole, because I'll fucking take you on, and we'll get set up here. It'll probably take us 10-15 minutes to get set up for live broadcasting so that people can really hear in real time what you have to say. And if you got a fucking thing to say, you go ahead and let us know. Because I'll tell you what, I got a fucking couple of things to say. And I got a couple of things to prove also. So you go ahead and you get in contact with me and let me know. Or let Bloody Bill here know. If you want to call into the show and you want to get online, you want to get your voice out, you want to defend your position, you want to try to undermine mine, you feel right ahead. Because I'll tell you what, you're not going to come into... And this show is an abridgment of freedom of speech. Everybody can speak properly, and everybody can speak freely, and that includes assholes from the United States government at its any and various levels. Are you okay? You're kind of laughing, so I'm going to assume
I
wanted
to add to that. I wanted to add to that, and if anybody took you up on your offer, it has to be here in our studio. We're not going to go do this show at the Capitol building with...
Unless you want to pay for it. Work out all the booking details and all that stuff, you know?
Nope, it will be done right here in this room. And as far as everybody else goes, you want to leave some comments, please go ahead. Leave some comments. We're not going to be... assholes and disable commenting for our videos.
No, there's no censorship of speech here.
Now, I would request that if you have something intelligible to share, whether it's a question or a comment, or even if you have no idea what we're talking about, and you... To that I would say, well, watch some more of our videos. But if you just have a bunch of venomous garbage to spew, somebody that just has their own views and doesn't want to, just maybe you didn't even watch our whole video, just watch the first part of it and say, well, you guys are just fascists and you guys are terrorists.
Nothing could be further from the fucking truth.
Please leave that out of the comments.
We want stuff. We want question and answers that are intelligible, that people can actually glean some knowledge from.
Even if you are, even if you don't agree with what we say, if you ask us questions or present us with stuff that is intelligible, it will be responded to.
Right.
But But if you're just going to sit there and curse at us and, well, you are this or that, or you're horrible human beings, you have no sympathy for these people or those people, please. That's all going to go on. Anyways,
So you wanted to do a little follow-up episode because we had gotten kind of fired up here in our personal conversation.
Well, yeah,
and because we had lost through technical difficulties again. Admittedly, we are getting used to this. We lost a portion of our
fifth
initial
video, I think.
Yeah, our initial broadcast. You know, this is something that we just kind of did on a whim, and we were talking about these kind of things, and you wanted to do a follow-up based on that skit.
Because I didn't want to just upload the skit as it was.
Right.
I think people might want to hear what exactly were we talking about, and and to let everybody know, I'm not actually Uncle Sam.
No, he is most certainly not. Neither one of us are.
No.
So
no,
stop your fucking fingers if you're messaging that right now.
Yeah, please, no keyboard warriors on this.
What were your thoughts about that whole interaction, that whole skit? I mean, how realistic was it, really?
Well, it was realistic in the sense that it happened. Now, the facts that were given, mostly by you, and by me too, were all true.
This is really the way that the government views people.
This is the interactions that human people and the government have with each other, except mostly it's Uncle Sam has the upper hand because the other person just cowers and says, "Oh yes, you must be right because you are Uncle Sam."
This is kind of a role reversal then, where the person does not accept.
Right, and I'm sure somebody else might have been able to do a better Uncle Sam, because they've got an answer for everything.
The cops always do. We've experienced that ourselves. Remember that time down on Ruston Way? We were accused of vandalizing ships because we were batting drift. We were using driftwood and rocks into the water.
Okay, that was quite a while ago.
And we told them, we said, you go ahead, there's only one boat that's marina down here. You go ahead and talk to him. We've already talked to that boat owner down here who's living in his boat. He was a really cool guy. Yeah. And we told the police this, and they showed up. It was, 6-7 squad cars. Mm-hmm. And there was about 5 of us, and a friend of ours who will remain unnamed was in the face of this alleged security guard, this order follower. And then I remember the Nazis, or what some may refer to them as police, had asked me, they said, well, you're on probation. How's your probation officer going to feel, 3%er, if I give him a call tonight telling him what happened? And I remember having said to him, I said, well, he's probably going to be pretty pissed off that you woke him up in the middle of the night for nothing.
I remember that, yes.
I mean, come on, let's be honest. These guys don't have any authority.
No, they don't.
I mean, that was, and I just say this as a brief segue, into relating what we're talking about into a real.
And they wanted to search your car, but
they did, yeah.
They wanted to, but you didn't let them.
No, and that's not the first time. I've been on probation and had, for an hour and a half, I had 2 Nazis stuck on the side of the road at past 2 a.m. Trying to charge me with all kinds of illicit crimes, and my response to them was, well, if that's what you feel that you need to do within the confines of the law to keep the community safe, then I implore you to take that action. And they went through an hour and a half, and finally, when they had searched my possessions, because there was an on-call probation officer that allowed it to happen, which is actually against DOC policy, because DOC policy states that my person, my vehicle, and my residence are subject to open search at any time of day or night with probable or reasonable suspicion by my CCO, my community corrections officer. So they violated the law in doing that, but I said, you know what, go ahead, man. I've already tied up an hour and a half of your time where I think my tax dollars would have gone to averting more real crimes. They ended up searching my stuff, and he looked at me and he said, man, you're totally clean, 3%er. What's the deal? Why are you giving us so much hard times? And I said to him, I remember the exact words as I said to him was, well, I'm just making sure that you're following the same laws that I'm expected to. And the next day when I called my probation officer, I won't tell you what state or what city or county this was out of, but when I called my probation officer and I told him obviously it wasn't Washington State, I explained to him what happened, and I went and seen him that day to explain my situation. He says, well, you know what? Obviously, you didn't do anything wrong. And I'll tell you right now, you have the rights of privacy, and you have constitutional rights regardless of what the government has told you. And I would encourage you to interact with the police in a similar fashion if ever you should come in contact with them again. Now, I'm not speaking out in defense of the Department of Corrections or that particular officer's rulings, but I am going to say that, dude, that was pretty fucking cool. That he would understand not my constitutional rights, but my human rights, and tell me that, you know what, we've got you under a microscope and we have authority that supersedes any federal or state government, but I am applauding your resistance to that lawful authority
authority
at the time, and give me that. So that's just what I wanted to say on that account.
Excellent. So what else did we flesh out in this skit? The right to defend oneself, and
right,
whether or not that fits into the non-aggression principle.
Well, let me ask you this, Bill. Are there any circumstances under which a creature of equal being, and I mean that by the government, they're all comprised of, let's just call them human beings for now, okay? They are creatures of equal being and status. And that's just logical. No human being is more equal or less equal than another. So, are there any circumstances, are there any statutory laws, are there any case laws that exalt one human being over another to decide under what circumstances I can defend myself, under which I can defend my family, under which I can defend those in my proximity, be them family or not, who do not have the ability to defend themselves? Is the government in a position to make a call under what I feel is threatening to my safety or those around me?
Well, I feel like you're talking about two different things here. Because, yes, you're correct that no human person has the right to initiate violence against another person. Now, if you're talking about the government coercing you into or telling you you can't do this or you can't do that, that is a different thing. Do they have the authority? No, they don't.
Do they have the right?
But we're talking about man's law versus natural law. In natural law, there's definitely under natural law, you cannot initiate violence against another fellow human being.
Is the operative word here initiate?
Yes.
So does that mean that I can't perpetrate violence on you in absence of reasonable provocation?
That is true.
Does that mean that if you perpetrate violence against me that I can't defend myself? Is there a difference? Is there a difference between perpetration and perpetration of violence and defense against violence?
Right. That I'm glad you brought that up, because yes, defending yourself against unprovoked violence that is against natural law is not an initiation of violence. Somebody else already initiated the violence.
Correct.
We're on the schoolyard, and I say to you, give me your lunch money, or I'm
So
I'm
you're a
gonna beat you
bully,
up. Yeah, I'm a bully in the schoolyard.
and you're perpetrating violence against me.
Simply by me even telling you, hey, you do this,
Or
or I'm gonna do harm on your body.
do I then have a right to defend myself?
Not yet. You have the right to say, no, I'm not going to do that. That's a word that has, I feel like, and it's the most simplest word, it's one of the smallest words in language, is that people have forgotten, is the word no.
No means no! So what if you escalate
So you tell
that?
me, no.
I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to let you take advantage of me.
That puts the ball back in my court. Either I say, okay, sorry.
But what are you likely to do if you're a bully or AKA a government status official?
Well, I'm going to play upon my ego.
Okay.
And I'm going to say, okay, you asked for it, and I'm going to try to perpetrate harm on you.
Physically speaking.
Yes.
Is it at this point then that I have the right to physically defend myself against the perpetration of violence?
Yes, absolutely.
And do I have a right to defend myself against the perpetration of violence against me to an extent that I feel that there is no longer the threat of violence?
Yes.
Does that extent possibly include death?
Yes. Now,
and who is that up to decide?
There's no gray area here. You defend yourself to the level at which you make the attempt of violence against you stop. If I'm simply just trying to beat you up or something, and maybe you're able to stop me and make me run away, that's a win. If you were to kill me dead, maybe that's a bridge too far.
Well, let me ask you this. Whose ultimate decision is it whether or not you feel that potential violence perpetrated against you necessitates a means of self-defense or more? Is it your position, or is it any individual's position to decide under what circumstances I feel that I had to defend myself in such a way that it cost you your life?
That's it. If you perceive that your life, your actual life, or somebody around you, or your family's life is in danger, then you use whatever force necessary to make it stop. If that includes ending their life,
which hopefully it does not.
Hopefully not. Then that's what it takes.
Well, let me ask you this. Are your life experiences a mirror of mine?
They are not. I have not had the experiences you have, or vice versa.
Do you surmise that there may have been situations in my life that have caused me traumatic stress to where I could view a similar situation as a mirror of those that you could not possibly understand? Obviously based on your own personal experience.
Well,
I guess my question is,
Yes,
again,
but-
have you experienced what I've experienced in life?
Well, no, but
No.
if what you're getting at is that if what one person feels is threatening to their life is different than what another person feels is threatening to their life, it doesn't matter.
No, it does not. And let me ask you this. Are your fears, or the way that you respond to them, the same as my fears based on experience and the way that I respond to them?
No, they're completely different.
So there is absolutely no law or no judicial discretion that could say, hey, because of what your career says, you are in a better position to decide for me under what circumstances I can be in fear of my life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just like, you would not be able to say for me what justifies something that would be harmful to my life. Just the same as where I don't know what would be harmful to your life, or what you would perceive as being harmful to your life or others around you.
And is this a major dilemma in the judicial system that people are forced to be incarcerated under every day?
Yes, the law has this cookie cutter idea of, well, every state, every municipality has different rules of this, but they have this. Each one of those has this special, well, was the person armed, or were they not? Were they
A criteria.
was it 1-on-1 or was it 1-on-2? Yes, criteria, color of law, or what they in the law they call what's the word now? I'm forgetting. They call. It's kind of embarrassing. Anyways, so yeah, there's a one-size-fits-all with the law, and it doesn't take into account different people's different levels of what's threatening to their life or not. Now we could go into, well, by that standard, anything that threatens anybody's health whatsoever is cause for a defense at any means.
And I would almost say yes, unequivocally, that is essentially true. If you break into my house, I'm going to kill you.
Whether they're armed or not.
Whether they are armed or not, because at that time, when my family is at stake, I do not have the luxury of stopping and saying, hey, are you armed? And this is a liberty that the Nazis, or I should say the police, enjoy.
Now, should you do what a lot of even gun advocates say that you should do in this situation, and call out to them and say, hey, I am armed, you better leave?
I would let them know at the first hand that I am armed. And if they do not, I will not hesitate a minute to dispatch them with extreme prejudice.
And none of that would be against natural law, would it?
None of it would be, because the way that the way that this is to be looked at is that if you are, let's say, a home invader breaking into my home, I may give you the courtesy of saying, I'm armed, leave. And if you don't immediately, you are going to get riddled with bullet holes, is the consequence.
Mm-hmm.
However, in accordance with the natural law, by you simply invading my private residence, my private domicile, where I not only have to take into consideration the safety of myself and also my family,
Mm-hmm.
I have to make those judgments also based on the experiences of my family. or the lack thereof. I have 2 small children living in my house. When somebody breaks into their home, they are going to feel nothing but fear. They are not in a mental or an intellectual or a psychological or a philosophical or an emotional capacity at such a young age to discern for themselves what situations are viewed as dangerous to their existence or not. And it is my moral obligation as the father and protector of that family to make those distinctions for them. Who other's responsibility is it going to be? The government's not there. You know why it's so important for people to carry firearms? Because you are the only person that is ever where you're at. You cannot rely on the police force to protect you,
and you
24 hours a day. And the Supreme Court, you're right, and
you can't or shouldn't.
You can't, nor shouldn't you, because even the Supreme Court of the United States of America, as apostate and as atheistic and freedom-hating as they may be, has upheld for over 30 years that law enforcement officers have no legal duty to protect one individual citizen. The police cannot be where you're at 365 days a year, 24/7. 60 minutes out of every hour of every day. They cannot be there. So a certain measure of responsibility and able to assess dangerous situations has to fall upon the individual human being.
This is something I've tried to tell people for a long time now, is that your safety is your own responsibility.
That's exactly correct. So going back to our skit here, are there any stones here that we've left unturned?
No, but I was going to comment on what you were saying before. Somebody comes into your apartment and maybe, whether or not you announce that, hey, I'm armed. Your door was locked, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Always. They know that that's not their apartment, right?
Correct.
They were coming in with malicious intent, right?
Does this apply to criminalized civilians or government officials, or is it a complete blanket policy where if a door is locked and this is my private residence, regardless of who you are, you have no right to enter?
I would go with the latter.
So when you ask me if any one of these people comes into my house,
from a natural law standpoint, your door is locked and somebody comes in,
right? They're violating natural law, stealing my security.
You don't have to announce yourself, do you?
No, I do not.
Because when you lock your door, you're locking your door against...
That's my statement.
Yeah.
This is a locked door. You shall not enter because this premise does not belong to you. And anybody that violates that is going to get gunned the fuck down hard. And anybody that they bring with them, any time of night or day.
Yeah, exactly. I've got a sign on my front door that says, this door is locked for your protection, not mine.
Not mine. And if you violate that, I don't give a fuck what end of the spectrum you are or what your ego identifies your career as. You're going to lose your fucking life, and you're going to lose it before I lose mine.
So what do we say to all those people out there that say, well, what if you accidentally shoot a family member that's coming in the middle of the night?
I say that's media bloatware, and there's absolutely no condition from a strategical standpoint. I have my bedrooms and my living space, regardless of how the living space was constructed from a architect's standpoint. I have everything in my house in such a way that none of my family members will be at peril in the event of a criminal or federal enforcement on my house and my family's security and their right to freedom and life.
Fast forward 15 years. Maybe one of your daughters are coming home late at night from a school function.
I'll be expecting her.
So there's no situation where one of your family members will be coming home late at night, and you would mistake them
Well,
for a burglar.
There's a significant difference between my door being knocked down by a battering ram at the behest of state agents, or somebody kicking in my door, which being a steel door is what it would entail. There is a significant difference in my audio programming of my subconscious mind to be able to differentiate in a sleep state of unconsciousness or a awakened state of consciousness between somebody forcing entry into my house and the obviously lawful turning of a key of my deadbolts.
I agree with all that.
So no, there is no
But to play
situation.
devil's advocate here again, I happen to be an expert at picking locks.
Okay. Can you pick a lock as quickly and silently as that key can turn one over in one fluid motion?
Almost.
Almost only
Oh,
counts
yeah,
with
all-
horseshoes and hand grenades and throwing you out of the fucking water. You're done.
About 10 seconds.
That sounds like just enough time for me to get ready and announce myself and ask you who you
Okay.
are. Point being is if you come to my house and to my family and to my
Yeah.
person with the express purpose of perpetrating violence, you're gonna meet a sticky fucking end. And I don't care who you are. I'm not calling for violence against any particular person, any particular group of people, or under any
Yep.
particular circumstances. I am saying that if you are not naturally, lawfully allowed access to my residence, you are gonna fucking die.
We're talking about natural law, of course. not
And that's the
man's
only law that I live by, and that's what needs to be remembered in these fucking broadcasts. Is I don't give a shit who you say you're with,
Yeah.
what your career is, who writes your paychecks, or what insignia you have on you, be it any or none. If you attempt to harm my family or my person, I am going to go to the furthest extent imaginable within the confines of human rationale to defend myself and those around me. And that's all there fucking is to it. End of story.
Ditto.
What more do we have to discuss then?
Okay, let's see, what else did we go through? Trying to think about the skit. What did we talk about in the skit? We talked about,
I put you to shame, Uncle Sam.
oh, you did.
And that's one thing that people need to remember is that this was watch your angle there. You're a one-on-one situation, and when you get Uncle Sam one-on-one, he's a fucking asshole. He ain't nobody. He's nobody whose brains you couldn't put against the fucking wallpaper.
I did my best at representing the man. Let's see, I don't know, what else did we cover?
I don't think that I have too much else to cover myself.
I mean,
I think we've gone through it pretty good.
You covered things like in the skit about owning yourself.
Damn right.
You're not
yes.
your hand. You're not your. You slammed your hat down. I'm not my hat. I'm not this. What you see in front of you. We also talked about. You briefly talked about registration, giving up ownership. Those are big, long topics. We can talk about it another time. I think that about covers
What was
it.
the reaction of Uncle Sam when he was confronted one-on-one?
Didn't have much to say.
So why are
Didn't
people
have much
so...
to say without his boys behind him.
And it's alarming to think that so many people are afraid of the government that they allegedly give power to. I mean,
Yeah.
we're
When
150 billion fucking strong, and you're going to be afraid of, 5 million
Yeah,
at the most.
when it comes down
At
to
the
it.
most,
Yeah,
that's 10-1 odds for us.
and just as you saw here in this room, when you get one person in front of one person, who won that?
The person that was right.
Ideologically, who won that?
The person that
The
was
human
right.
being
The
did.
human being. The person that was right.
So why is it any different on a larger scale?
It's not.
It's not.
It's just
so,
a matter of
so
getting
why
people
do,
to understand that.
So why do people lick these people's boots?
Programming, mind control, which we'll be getting into in our
Mind
next episode.
control.
Mind control.
I'd really like to talk about that.
We will. In
Which-
our next episode,
which-
which we'll be doing tomorrow,
which-
since we have all the research pulled up.
Which aspects of it do you think we'll be talking about,
We're
or,
gonna
or
be-
should we just leave that a mystery?
Well, we'll be talking about this 4S or S-Quad or Squad technology. We'll be talking about the digital era versus the old antennae that were put on top of your television and the government mandate that everything analog is now obsolete and you have to convert to digital programming.
Yeah, right.
We'll be talking about Project Monarch and
Yeah,
MK
that's
Ultra. We'll be talking about all of it.
the silent sounds spread spectrum.
Silent sound spread spectrum. We'll be talking about all of it in our next episode.
Okay, that sounds like maybe it'll take a few episodes because there's a oh man.
A host. We'll be talking about
The
princess
brain
programming,
is so complicated.
talking about warrior programming. We'll be talking about
princess, warrior programming,
the boys section versus the girls section at the department stores. Talking about the difference between girls cartoons and boys cartoons. We'll be talking about the Illuminati and the obvious indoctrination by Walt Disney. We'll be showing the Walt Disney was a 33rd degree Mason, and we'll be showing that in the Walt Disney insignia and how the flying star relates to that 33 degrees.
It does.
We'll be talking about the 666 and the all-seeing single eye that's in the Walt Disney logo. We're going to be talking about all of it because people have to understand that the brainwashing and the mind control is only effective if it started at a young age. Because like I said on our show today that I broadcasted from my own place, is that if you wait too long, you give an individual too much time to develop his individuality.
Mm-hmm.
But if you start early and destroy the ideology of or the reality of individuality and replace it with the ideologies of isolationism, if you replace it with the ideology of cult indoctrination via repetition and trauma-based mind control and the dissolution of the personal identity at a young age, then people are programmed into a system, into a state-based, government-funded, Prussian school system-oriented destruction of the individual self into a mentality of herdism.
I have a feeling we're gonna have at least 3 or more shows on this topic, mind control.
At least. And we'll
we
start
could-
tomorrow.
We could do a whole episode on Disney and media.
Yes.
We could do a whole episode on
Oh, don't let me. You know what we should do is splice some Lady Gaga video footages into. We can look at.
we can do that and
Nicki Minaj.
briefly
We can-
overview symbolism.
We can show certain instances where Nicki Minaj's pupils have turned serpentine through some of her performances, and how Beyonce's face, frame by frame, contorts into something demonic. And this is all live footage taken from their live performances.
And you don't even have to see those. They've done interviews where they admit to selling themselves to the soul.
Yeah, things like
selling their
this.
soul to the devil.
You know, I'm hesitant to do it, but I'm not powerless to stop it. These kind of signs, this kind of sign, this kind of sign, these signs, these signs, or these signs. I mean, it's all over the place. The all-seeing eye is everywhere.
Yeah, even as I think there was a Taylor Swift video. She had her hair in such a way that her hair came down over one eye.
And people thought it was odd when Aaliyah was a music artist, that she had a lazy eye with one of her eyes, and she covered for a mass portion of her career one half of her face under the guise of a lazy eye. And you have to remember that these videos are when you're seeing her as a millionaire.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, she was able to afford this corrective eye surgery so that she could show her whole face. I'm sorry to tell you, but that's not the way that it was. That's not the way that it happened. So there's a lot of symbology. So we're going to talk a lot about mind control, the Illuminati, and symbology in the next several episodes to come.
All right. I look forward to it.
Okay, then I'm 3%er signing out.
Bloody Bill here.
Remember to stop and not pause.